Okay, let's check out some of the configurations that you can do with Voyager. So when you do install a new Voyager install, you will then have a new config file located at config and voyager.php. So I'm not going to go over every single config option. You can check out the documentation to learn about each one of these, but I will kind of give you a brief overview on some of the configurations. So you can see here the first one is the user config, where you can do things such as a default role. So if somebody were to sign up on the front end of your application, you can assign them a default role. You can also then specify your user namespace and a default avatar. So then here you can also specify custom controllers. So if you want to override any of the Voyager functionality, you can do so by specifying your own custom controllers. And then scrolling down, we also have a models config, and this is specifically when you are creating a new model. Say if you are creating the model when you add the table or when you add some bread, then this will automatically create the model, and you can specify where the namespace is supposed to be, so where that's supposed to be located, and by default it's just located in the app folder. And then down here we have the path to the Voyager assets, and these are the assets that are going to load the style sheets and the JavaScript for the Voyager admin. And sometimes if you have some weird setup on a subdirectory or a subdomain, you may have a different asset path. So we just wanted to make sure that it was as flexible as possible. And then here we have our storage, and you can use the public, which is the local storage, which will be stored inside of your storage, app, and public folder. And you can see that we have the pages, posts, and users right in there. And you can also directly link up S3, or you could even use Google Cloud Storage. You can specify any storage system that you would like to use. You would just then need to change it here. So if we go up here to the file system and say perhaps that we wanted to use our S3, we would then need to update that inside of our Voyager config. So we would then say S3. So let's go ahead and change that back. And then going down, next up is the media manager, and you can specify if you want hidden files to show up or not. And these are files that begin with a dot. In most cases, they are hidden, and you can specify if you want them to be visible or not. And then in the database config, you can specify some tables that maybe you want to hide. So such things as the migrations, the data rows, the data types, or if you have any other database table that you wish to hide in the Voyager admin, you can specify that here in the array. And then you also have a prefix. So this is the admin prefix. If maybe you want to have a different prefix like backend or anything else, you can add the prefix here. And then we also have some multilingual options. So you can say if you want this to be enabled, and then the default is English, and then you can also specify some languages that you want to support. And next is our dashboard config. So in the dashboard config, we can specify the nav items that we want for our dropdown. So if I were to actually go to the Voyager admin, you can see that the dropdown we have profile, home, and logout. And that is specified right here with the profile, home, and logout. And you can add as many nav items to this menu that you would like. And then here we have the widgets, and I will be going over this in a later video, but right now you can see that we have this user widget, we have posts and page, and that is what is showing up once we go to the main dashboard. You can see we have user, posts, and pages. And next we have some UI settings. So you can specify a primary color, and right now the primary color is that kind of light blue. And you can also specify if you want to show dev tips, and the dev tips are kind of just some helpers to let you know how to display stuff. So say if I were to go to the menu builder, it then has this how to use. So there are some development tips that you can choose to either show or hide in the admin. And this is really cool. You can add some custom CSS. So if you want to override some of the styles or kind of just create your own theme for Voyager, you could then add your own style sheet here. And you can also add your own custom JavaScript right below that. And last up is a config for Google Maps. So there is a new type that you can use for any row in your database, which is called coordinates. And if you set this up, you can then specify coordinates by dropping a pin somewhere on a map, and it will create those coordinates and save it to the database. So you will need to add your Google Maps key in here in order to get this to function correctly. And that is just a quick overview of some of the configurations that you can add to Voyager. And if you want to learn more about all these configurations, definitely make sure to check out the documentation and you can read it there in full. So in the next video, we'll be talking about the Voyager routing system and how routing works with the Voyager package.